Term plan,
Plan?
Chet's old house.
All right. I'll wait till Russ gets back.
Which is,
Yes. Yeah,
Supposed to talk to Emmett to get a temporary approval.
my advice isn't going anywhere, so it has to be somebody else.
All right, so it is 6:30 on the 18th of April, so I'm gonna call the planning board meeting to order. So let's do attendance first.
Teresa Fenimore,
Susan Young's acting chair for Craig Fournier, who's absent.
Marlo Herrick.
John Jewett.
And John Jewett, who is going to serve as one of our
I'm an alternate, but I'll be-
alternates,
yeah.
since we have two people gone.
I suppose I'll be a voting member today.
All right, first thing that is on our agenda is to select a chair and vice chair for next year. I don't remember we've ever had a vice chair.
Yeah, I would really, so this is, avoids the whole situation of trying to figure out who's supposed to
Who's gonna do it?
Who's gonna do it?
Well, I nominate Craig Fournier as chair.
I second that.
can he accept or he's
He,
not here?
he has expressed that he is willing to continue.
There you go.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to be vice chair?
I nominate you to be vice chair.
Yeah,
All
Second.
right,
all right. All in
All
favor?
in favor, aye.
Aye.
I guess so.
Well, geez, we're quick. Okay, next.
Well,
What else we
the
gotta
next
do?
one was number 5, and they have withdrawn. They've decided not to buy the property up the street, you know, the one that's not really buildable, that's that
Yeah,
really steep
yeah.
lot.
And what were they asking? Just,
The cost, you mean?
no,
They were
no.
coming in to see what the board requirements would be if they wanted to put a vineyard up there with a tasting room on the top of the hill.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
And since
'cause
it's not gonna happen, it's a
because
moot
Yeah,
point.
yeah, right,
so-
okay,
So we
gotcha.
don't have to deal with that one. So, now, the town-owned lots on Amherst Drive, we're not making any decisions on that?
So Marlo was at that meeting where Pete came in to discuss what he was planning to do with the lots and that he would like to buy them from the town in order to develop them. And the board at the time wanted to get the opinion of the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board, so here we are, the board can discuss what they feel.
That's
If
over
it-
in Pillsbury Lake.
It's in Pillsbury
Yeah.
Lake.
Did we get something from,
There's, with the
From the
stuff that was.
Concom,
yeah,
the Concom said they didn't, well, at least this is what Dana said, is the Concom wasn't concerned as long as he stayed away from the wetlands.
oh, okay. Okay.
So there were like 3 lots that were all wetland, if he stays out of those and doesn't build on those, they're not worried about him building on the rest of them.
Is this something where it's town property, right?
Right.
We'd have to sell it.
Yeah, is it something that we should, seeing it's consecutive lots, is it something we should do like a public hearing on?
Absolutely.
I mean,
let
you
the
could.
public
Yeah.
know that's
Yes,
available.
because again,
Yes.
we sit here to just kind of try to, you know, keep everything, you know, in line with the rules and stuff.
Yeah.
But to make those kind of decisions, I would rather have a public hearing or somebody else's opinion on how they feel about it, and why.
Somebody else may wanna purchase it too.
Right.
True, it would have to
And-
go up for,
It hasn't been listed, has it? Has it been listed for sale?
No.
And
So
the
the town's long-standing policy in Pillsbury Lake is you sell it to the abutters with the condition that the lots would be merged. However, from my understanding, it wasn't fully at the meeting, Pete doesn't want to merge them.
Yeah,
He wants to use them as affordable housing, more affordable housing in the area. So he would wanna keep the lots separate. I think one of the major concerns is with the district, the water's shaky and there's no
Very shaky.
sewer. So
Yep.
you might wanna merge 2 of the lots together and make the lots a little bit bigger so that they can support a well and a septic, but that would be the only real
'Cause-
consideration.
currently, the lots are quite tiny, right?
Correct.
80 by 100.
They were originally never planned to be full-time residents, it was supposed to be seasonal camps. And it's evolved over the years.
Well, yeah, but Amherst Drive's completely new.
Yeah, Amherst Drive was never built,
Yep.
never. So
And-
it was,
One of the requirements would have to be that he would have to make it a real road,
would have to
right?
make
'Cause
it a
it's
real
paper
road.
you'd have to upgrade it to it, yeah.
Yeah,
and he would.
Or not
and he-
upgrade it,
I
you have to
think
build
he-
it.
Yeah.
I think he
I'm sorry.
expressed he would wanna do it as a private road, but that's gonna be a little interesting too, because it's already been given to the town as a public right-of-way as part of it. And the town abandoned it and didn't agree to maintain it, and I'm not sure what the process would be converting something that's already a public right-of-way into a private right-of-way. Cause even though we don't maintain it, it still belongs to everybody, anybody in the town can walk down that road, but it just doesn't.
And you said it's access to, a hunting reserve?
There are multiple, it's one of the accesses to the hunting reserve, there's another one, I think, trying to remember the name of the road, I think it's New Hampshire Drive that's on the other side of the lake.
I believe so.
Where
New Hampshire
there's-
Drive is just down from us. actually.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just-
a-
It's just down from Amherst Drive.
Yeah, there's another access to the lake there too, or not the lake, but the
The hunting
reserve.
preserve?
It's on your map right there, is New Hampshire Drive.
And just because it was developed, it, like I said, that's the thing with it being a public right of way, is the people in the lake could still use it to go to the hunting reserve,
Yeah.
even if it was developed.
So we don't really have to do anything, we just have to express our opinion, is that correct?
Correct. You're just stating the board's opinion, and if you agree with Marlo and you think a public hearing to discuss it further with the public is the way
I
to
think
go.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Plus, the bidding has to be open to anyone who's interested.
Right. Because the other option is, and I think Dave discussed this at the board, you could just merge all the lots and sell it to one of the abutters. That's the other option too.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete said that his lot was right in the middle, and it is, but
Which one is it?
his lot is that one, 630.
Okay.
And we own all the lots around it.
630 is his?
Yeah, yeah, I
His
see that,
house.
it's the only one without a.
But he
ding on it.
expressed that we couldn't merge it because his lot would block it from being merged, but as you can see, we own 636.
Yeah, you can go around.
We can
yeah.
go right around
You
it.
can go right around it, you don't have to merge, no.
And then we could do the same condition where it's like we offer it to the abutters first, and then you can always bid for it, and if you bid for it, there is enough road frontage on Manchester Drive, right there where he could put it in the driveway.
Yes. I really strongly feel they should merge lots because of the wetlands, and putting a sewer in wetlands is really difficult, especially with
Yeah.
the DES doesn't usually approve those. But,
Yeah, I think some of them ought to be merged anyway because they are so small.
Or you also, the town could just not
Yes.
merge the ones that are wetland and just not sell the ones that are wetland.
That are not, that are
Because
wetlands.
it, as you can
that's
see,
an idea too.
Yeah.
638 is
I would-
100% wetlands,
Yeah.
and
Like this whole-
636 is half wetlands.
Right,
And you could
So-
just not sell those two and just say, these are wetlands, we're not, we're not.
yeah. So when you
But the
look at
other
this-
ones are fine.
How about the ones on the other side of the road there, 6, 9, 10, and 13?
Yeah, you own those two. So that's the other thing, is if the road was developed, those lots could then be built on.
Mm-hmm.
Because currently they can't, because those ones are completely landlocked
Mm-hmm.
without the road being there.
There is a further consideration which you touched on it a little bit, was water,
Yeah.
finding good water, not
Right.
sewage water, but good
Right.
water. There was 150 people on the, when we bought over there, we owned 467. When we bought over there was 150 people on the water system. There's now 49 or 48 on the water system, because that many other people have drilled wells.
Exactly
Which
right.
means that the water system over there is almost maxed out, because
Yeah.
you're only sitting on 80 by 100 feet of land,
Right.
so.
And you can't put a well on every one of those.
No, that's where I was going, is, well, you can, but somebody's gonna run out of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on top of that, you got the footage requirements, you know, from the well to the house, and the septic to the well to the
Yeah.
house, and the boundary
Yeah.
lines and
Yeah,
such.
well,
These lots aren't very big.
That's what we had to do, we had to put the well on one end corner and the septic on another corner.
Correct.
So you could
Yeah.
get the 75 feet between the
Yeah.
two.
And then when you have wetlands, it makes it
And
even
now you got
smaller.
wetlands that
Yeah.
go along with it too, so, just a thought.
All right. Any other opinions, any other, do we have to make any formal motion?
Nope, so you're just gonna, whatever you recommend, just let me know, and then I'll bring it back to the select board tomorrow, or bring it back to the select board.
Well, so we've recommended that there should be a public hearing. and that we believe at least some of the lots should be merged to make them a little more, buildable size because of septic and well.
What was Pete requesting? He was talking about doing that anyways, wasn't he? About merging the lots?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
he wanted to get them to be like 1.5 to 2.5 acres
Mhm.
each lot that he was gonna build on.
And how did he feel about the wetland ones? I
He
forget.
said he didn't wanna go near the wetlands,
Yeah.
so I think it would, if he's not wanting to go near them and do
Yeah.
anything with them, I think it does make sense for me personally, for the town, just to keep them. Cause
The wetland ones,
the
yeah.
wetland ones, or put in a conservation easement and
Yeah,
then merge it
whatever.
with the
Yeah.
other ones
There
and
you
sell it
go.
off.
Yeah, that's an idea.
And then how many lots would he be, or anybody be able to get once we did all that?
Well, it depends on how you wanted to group it up. If you were looking for like 2.5, I would say maybe 2 lots out of that.
Mhm.
If you were maybe 2, maybe 3. If you were looking to merge it all into one, it'd be 1 5-acre lot.
Okay. Okay, but there again, the rules are not the same down here anyways,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah,
I mean, it seems like you could do 31, 32, 33, and 35, and make one big corner lot, and then 626 looks significantly
Merge with
bigger.
them. Yeah.
So it could get,
I think merge
maybe
with-
merge with some of the wetlands ones with the
Well,
idea
that's what I
that,
was thinking. It's like,
yeah, I was gonna say,
see if you merge like the big one at the end, the 636 with the 2 wetland lots, it would be a pretty decent sized lot.
Yeah.
And you could put the well near the wetlands, but not in it.
so maybe you would do that, you do,
And you get
then you
room
do,
over here for a septic.
Yeah,
yeah, way over,
Yeah, so
right
And-
over there.
and then you do 35 and 33 and then 32, 31 and,
and that would be a nice size, wouldn't it?
It would be about, I would say, a little over an acre.
At least
Because
it's
those
a-
are about,
quarter
one of those is
lots.
about 1/4 acres, one of them is a
Mhm.
double, so.
Yeah, yeah.
and what would we make, if that was happen, what would we require the road to be brought up to?
Well, that's a whole planning board discussion.
It is.
Yeah, okay, so I move that, do we really wanna send
We
this
don't
yet
have-
back to the select people? Or do we want to,
You wanna send it back to yourself?
well, no,
Well,
well,
that-
here's
I thought that
why-
was the idea, that the
Yeah,
select
you're
board
just
wants to know
recommending.
what we
You
think.
get
Oh,
a
okay.
budget for the road, though.
Okay.
Cause you're not telling, cause the select boards can do what it does.
Yes.
The select board can completely ignore your recommendation. They're
I guess I was
getting
just
your
trying to
input.
figure out if we were to figure out what was buildable, what the cost of, and what the road, cause that's a paper road, what the road would entail, and what would have to happen with the road, because
That's,
if it was just one lot and somebody has to put a driveway in, that's one thing, but if somebody was to, purchase it, if Pete or whoever, we would wanna, we
So,
would
I think-
need this road to be,
yes.
upgraded to a,
I would think that the town would have to have that discussion with him when you sell him the lots.
Yeah,
And then there would have to be some sort of agreement between the town and Pete on how the lot,
well,
how he's gonna
agreed, but
develop the road.
hold on though, so if we, say we go on, we put it to public to even wanna sell,
Yeah,
but we would have to figure out if we put it up for sale for who, just to the public, let's say we did, we would want to be clear what would be required for the
Yeah.
upgrade of the, because more or less, subdividing's all fun and all great games, but when you have to upgrade a road to whatever spec, I don't know that off the top of my head, that's, can be very costly and then it outweighs the lots.
right.
So I just didn't know, how do we have that discussion
Well,
before we just keep throwing it back and forth, is all I'm saying.
Well,
Am
there
I
also
talking
is,
out
there
my,
also is an abutter on the road who has a house. I think there might be maybe 1 or 2 who might be interested in buying all the merged lots
Yeah.
as well. So
okay,
that's always an option, because, and then the other step was, like I mentioned, if you merge them all, there's 80 feet of frontage on Manchester Drive, which is enough in Pillsbury Lake to get a driveway into your lot.
okay,
So
I
they
just
would
feel like
need to-
it's-
they
it's-
would need to build the road, so you could say, the board's not gonna go with the policy, which of course you know it's gonna be an S storm. But because the lot's 5 acres and would be a standard lot at that point. And then say, it's a buildable lot and somebody can build a house on it.
you said, that 630 is already, is that where David lives?
David?
I thought you just said,
Pete, you mean Pete?
Oh,
Pete lives right up the road.
no, who lives in 630? That one is not,
I think there's a lot, I'm trying to remember who the people,
Dean, if you want to come up and join us, we, oh, there's another packet.
Or you
We
can
have
sit
two
right here
abs-
between us if you want.
We have two absentees, so we'll include you, although we are fast approaching the end.
Right.
We were very, no, we didn't have much to do.
I mean,
Um,
I'm looking at the tax maps right now, cause I can tell you who owns the lot right at the corner, cause I know there are a couple.
not at
I
the
think
corner.
6:30, where it's not a
6:30,
dot.
there's not a
That's
dot there.
Pete. That's Pete.
That's where he lives.
6:30, I
No,
believe
that's
Pete's.
he owns a vacant lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, he already has that lot. Gotcha, okay.
He owns a couple vacant lots on Amherst Drive.
All
He owns
right.
another one too, I think, on the other side of the road, up in the top.
He's here.
One of those three, he owns one of them.
9, 10, or 13.
So he does have a vested interest in developing the road.
So he
because
is an
there's
abutter.
Oh,
lots of
okay,
building.
okay.
He's an abutter, so he would
So he
have
could
that.
have
We're
the
talking about
opportunity
the
to
Amherst
bid
Drive
first as
things.
well to buy the lots.
Yeah.
And if he did buy them all merged with the condition that he merged them all into his lot, he could still build one house there.
Yeah, well, and we're not trying, that's not my purpose in this, it's
No?
just trying to figure out what the.
Correct
what-
process.
Correct process, the most fair process for, hey, everybody deserves to have a piece of property and own a home, so. But I just think we just gotta be careful on how we,
Oh, I do too.
well, just to make sure we don't lead somebody down a Primrose either.
Right.
And then say, oh, by the way, you gotta do this, this, and that,
Well,
that would be my
I
concern.
think if you were gonna sell them unmerged and do it like it was gonna be a development, I think you would have to put the bids out to developers. I don't think a regular person could do it. That's just my opinion.
So should we look into that too, because that's what I'm trying to get at, is then it's gonna come back to the select board with the recommendations, but we don't, then we're gonna probably throw it back, I feel like,
Yeah.
to here, so it kinda feels like a
Yeah.
boomerang.
But the
'Cause-
select board has to make the ultimate
I
decision
think-
about whether
Well,
to
right,
sell
but
the
I
lots.
could see, well, true, or the process on that.
You might
But-
also wanna get more public feedback before you make any decision
Right.
on it, cause I know
Right.
there are certain people in this town who will go nuts if the town doesn't follow the policies to the T.
Right, okay,
And rightly so,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's why they're there,
exactly.
again, not a huge rule follower.
I would prefer to see some of these small lots merged
Yes.
versus selling all of them individually. I don't believe selling all of them individually is a good idea because,
It's
you can't
not,
build on all of them.
yeah, it's.
Well, and the purpose behind that back when it all went down is different than it is now today.
Absolutely
Yeah,
it is
right?
different. Yes, it is.
Camps are very different from a year-round
Well,
house.
right, and that's
Well,
true,
okay.
that's true, that's something that it should be really known to everybody, that
Yeah.
these were to be campsites,
Right.
not
Not living year round.
year-round houses. Okay, so now what's that mean?
I think that's, I think we're done with that.
Okay, what's next?
It's gonna go back to me.
Map 7, lot 1,
So, I think about half of the board was around for Mr. DeBello, who can't get a straight driveway permit for whatever reason, but the board did vote to give him 2 years to figure it out with the state. However, the 2 years is up, I believe, in July or August.
That can't be,
It is. And
feels like yesterday.
So I sent him a contact and I asked him if he had any updates. He has not gotten back to me. It's been about 2 weeks. And I'm just wondering what the board would like to do going forward when the permit expires. Do you want me to reach out to see if we want to give him more time on it? If he gives us an update?
You said it was July?
I think it's July or August.
Okay, well, we should probably know that, I mean, I would think,
I have it in the notes. It's in the minutes, but off the top of my head, if I can look, I can get you the exact date.
oh yeah, because that was, you attached the, where we talked to him.
oh, and you made it
It's
yellow.
in, it's back in here somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of minutes in there.
It's in there. He was the
July 21st, 2022.
so it's
That one.
July
Okay.
21st. It'll expire.
So that's where or let's just call us April 21st, so that's 3 months away, right?
So I figured I should bring it up now before it's a month away.
And when did you send the letter?
I didn't send a letter yet, I just sent him an email asking for an update to see
Okay.
what's going on.
So, I would suggest, and then you guys can fill in, I would suggest another email, or maybe send a letter, who knows what happens with the email, and just state, hey, you're coming up on your 2-year, and we need an update because we don't wanna get to the final hour.
And then cancel
and
your-
then- Yeah,
Tell you
yeah.
your
So
permit's
please
expired.
get in contact with me on what you'd like, how you would like to proceed.
Yeah. Because I don't think the state, I mean, unless there's been a breakthrough, I don't think the state's gonna grant them that permit. And then we're gonna have to decide what we're gonna have them do if the state doesn't grant them the permit.
What was the issue with the driveway?
They didn't like where it was.
Well, no, they don't mind the new one he put in. What they don't like is that there are too many driveways on the property, according to them.
Right,
The
according to
original-
them, that's right.
the
that's right.
original-
But yet, there isn't really any
And that-
driveway being used.
They
Yeah.
wanted him to merge, or
Well, they
to,
wanted him to close the driveway when he owned both lots. They wanted him to close the driveway that was more towards the Cloverdale side, right on the
The
hill.
barn, more towards that, their barn,
They
that,
wanted him to close that driveway so we could get the other driveway.
yeah.
He never did it for whatever reason. He sold the house, now there's new owners, and the new owners aren't 100% against doing it, but, you know,
But they're gonna be vastly,
it's not,
it's not gonna be pretty if they make him move,
right.
or they have to share, so that's, they would
They
like,
don't wanna share.
they don't wanna share.
They don't wanna share. And they would consider closing the other driveway, but I haven't seen motion in that direction, cause they did have a conversation with me about it, and I said, cause they were worried that if they closed the driveway, they would lose the grandfathering on all their driveways, and the state would tell them they have to close all their driveways. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. If you close down that driveway, it wouldn't affect your other driveway, it would just mean you wouldn't be able to rebuild that driveway again in the future. You would lose
which they could
access.
easily, if what they come off, it's not like it's, I mean,
Well, it's just, they,
Well,
right now
don't
they
use
have,
from
Right.
they
our
have a loop.
conversation, they don't use it anyway, because they don't
That's
like
what-
the site distance.
that's right, or
Which is why it shouldn't be there.
a big deal.
Right.
So this kinda seems a little silly.
Right, but it's ultimately, Mr. DeBello could have solved it when he owned the house. He didn't solve it when he owned it, for
Before
whatever
he-
reason. There may be extenuating circumstances we're not aware of, but it wasn't solved then, and now the problem exists now. And now the town, I won't grant a building permit
Can't.
without a state building permit, without a state.
So
driveway
why
permit.
don't, so let's do this, do what we do, maybe mail a letter stating all that, what you just kinda said, and say that, you know, come, this is your deadline. And then when that
Make sure to
deadline
come to the
comes,
board before the deadline
Yeah.
and discuss where you are in this process,
Yeah.
cause if you don't,
cause you will
The,
probably
the
need.
permit will expire.
and
Yeah,
then you're gonna have to shut your driveway down.
which wouldn't think you'd wanna do, and we don't wanna see that, so it's not,
No.
that's not our goal, our goal is to make them compliant.
And the bump out's on the wrong side, but that could be solved.
Yeah.
That can be fixed.
Mhm.
And that was it for that discussion.
Yeah, and the only other thing, the future zoning, and then at some point, we do need to talk about driveways on state roads.
Yeah,
Well, in which we have discussed, right? But
A
I
little
think,
bit.
I think we should review some of the driveway permits to begin with anyways, but,
well, I think we need to make a whole meeting of it.
Yeah, we can't do that, I don't think we can.
well, we're not doing it tonight anyways.
Yeah,
We don't
Cause I'm not
have-
prepared.
Yeah, that's it.
Craig
I
is the
think
one
we
who's
should-
done most of the driveway
Well, I
inspecting.
think I would wanna send out Mr. Evans' comments again, and then the things that Marlowe's brought up to me about, you know, the steepness was a big thing, cause we require, a lot of the towns are 10%, and we're at 5%. And that's something, and then they were gonna have to have that discussion about the aprons, there's a lot to discuss in the driveway regulations. And I also wanted to make sure that we added the way we handle driveway permits explicitly into the driveway regulations
Yes,
as
so,
part of our process.
there's no question to
So
that.
so they match,
Mhm.
and I
Agreed.
think that's important, cause that was brought up by Mr. Irving, and I think that he made a very good point when he
The-
brought that. He was the person who was trying to build on Lake Road. He wanted the
Yes,
second driveway on Lake Road, and he said, well, this is what it says in your regulations, but that's not the process. You follow it for the most part, but it doesn't say the planning board designates somebody to be in charge of its portion of it. So we should probably put that into the
Yeah.
regulations and make it match. And I think that makes sense, and it's an easy fix. And then another thing in future zoning that I've noticed, that I think we need to define what home goods are in the zoning ordinance. Because there's a section in the zoning ordinance that says home goods are allowed to be bought and sold in the town of Webster without a permit or anything. But what's the definition of
Oh,
home
okay.
goods? There's no definition.
I assume
Because
that,
I was discussing this with Marty earlier, because they want me to put together a list of all the businesses in town that have gotten their ZBA process. However, it puts a little wrench in the gear when you have this section in the ordinance that says home goods are allowed to be bought and sold in the district, when you don't have a definition of what home goods are. So,
I assume they meant things like eggs and baked
Well, that's
goods
Keep
Cultural
going, keep
goods.
going, keep going.
fruits and vegetables.
Home
and-
goods or, oh, well, I suppose
would that
not.
be like homemade furniture? Would that be, rugs, clothing?
Well, even,
What's-
even a part could be a home good part you built. Do you know what I mean? You-
Yeah,
Well,
that's,
that's where
I
I'm
bet that
getting
was
at.
not
It's-
what was intended.
It was not defined in the ordinance, cause I was looking for a definition, and there is no definition for home goods. So that, I think, will present a problem going forward if we do not get a definition of what home goods are. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it, but I think when you put,
It's very vague.
it's very vague, and I think it needs to be clearly defined of what the definition is. I mean, I know what I think of. I think somebody, if they're weaving rugs in their living room, that's a home good. I would consider that a home good, but maybe somebody else wouldn't.
Why do I think baking goods?
Baking
I'm
goods are
thinking
a home
baked-
That's what, that's
I
what comes
would-
to my mind.
That's what comes to my mind, somebody who bakes bread.
But I never
and-
thought of, build a rug or
Yeah.
building a piece of furniture, really, it
But
could.
like if you're making wicker
And crafts.
chairs,
Yeah, any craft, yeah.
like some little crafts that you do on the side in your house, and then you sell them, that's kind of what I think a home good is.
The wiki defines home goods as household goods, are goods and products used within the household. They're tangible, movable, personal property placed in the rooms of a house, such as a bed or refrigerator.
Ooh,
It's a
but,
home good.
That's why I'm saying it's a
so
little.
here we go,
Maybe
we
an
want somebody
appliance.
who's selling appliances, cause that's a home good?
And that's
No.
what wiki says, yeah. So yes,
Well,
it does.
I think what
need
they're trying to say
defined.
is if you wanna sell your refrigerator to this guy over here, that's what, you don't need to get a permit.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't.
That's different.
That's different.
That's,
That's a transaction
That's
between,
not having
you're
a
not doing
a
that for a
business.
living.
So,
That's done once.
So that's kind of like, it was kind of my thought when I was looking, because I was like, I see home goods, but it should be in the definitions category of what defines home
Yes.
goods. So people.
little
know what it
asterisk
is.
there and then a, home goods for
Just
this
see-
purpose include.
There are just some things in the ordinance that, when I'm reading it, I look at and go, that could probably use a little shoring up and just a little bit more explanation, so we know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
So that, and yeah,
thank you, Teresa, very
What?
much. I said, thank you, Teresa.
Oh, you
all right. What else do we need to do?
Minutes?
Oh, yeah, we have to approve minutes of the March 21st meeting, which are, I think, at the very back. No?
Yeah, they're at
Yes.
the end. I think they're pretty simplistic minutes.
That was the long meeting with the guy who wants to, have they bought that property? Do you know the property
I
on?
am still in discussions with them. I got them the new FEMA maps, and apparently from what their review was, the new FEMA maps pretty much pull their entire property out of the floodplain.
They took it out of the flood.
Took it out of the floodplain. Granted, those aren't gonna be finalized for like 1 to 2 years,
Right.
but depending on when they get there, and that's no guarantee that's gonna be the final map, but it's looking better for them, so they were a little bit more comfortable with it. And they had some other questions about easements and right-of-ways that I couldn't answer because it's stuff we don't keep. Like, for example, where the old roads go across the lot. Like, the only map I could show them is bring them upstairs and show them that map in the corner of the room, because that's the best guesstimate I have. And I was like, a lot of that stuff is like old cattle rangeways, and it's been around since the King of England, so
King of England was here?
way back when, maybe,
He owned it,
he owned
whether
it.
he was here or not.
That's right, that's true, right?
All right, so does somebody wanna make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 21st meeting?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I believe, unless anybody has, do we want to talk about 11 on Battle Street and whether we need to communicate with them that they need to
I'm
get
trying
a...
to solve that without making it a heated debate. 'cause
Yeah,
I
that'd be
think
good.
that's more or
That
less
would be good.
just. could
Just
you- if
please-
you're- If you're not doing this as a permanent driveway, could you please go talk to the state and get whatever is with the state, and then get whatever you need from Emmett, because when we have a temporary construction permit for something, you usually just get that through Emmett and just say, hey, I'm gonna be, doing a logging operation over here, or hey, we're gonna be going back to the back 40 because we're tearing something down or doing something back here, and we're gonna need to build a temporary driveway here. And we'll put it back, and then we have them do a little agreement, and they sign that they're gonna put it back the way it was when they're done. And that's really all it has to be.
Has the state said anything?
The state has not said anything, which
Okay.
I'm not surprised about.
No.
We'll talk about that later.
What's the address on the driveway thing down by La Rochelle's? Is that 541?
By where?
Down the other board member on. right on-
Guy Lachelle, she said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what,
Is that 541? I was trying to, I got the minutes, I was trying to look and drive around and find these places like the Vineyard. I've looked and looked and said, trying to discern what property is attempting to be a vineyard.
They have decided not to buy the
Not-
property.
Oh, okay, so,
Sorry, we did that right at the beginning.
Yeah.
and he's
I hear
asking,
you.
where's 541, that's what,
Yeah, it's up the road. So you go
It's-
up the road, it's like on top of the hill over here, and you'll see the mailbox.
It's where they've kinda cleared
And you'll see
on
a
a really
cleared area,
steep.
and
right
then
off,
they
it's
put
right
some
off
dirt
the
down.
127.
then I went to the town
Just
report and I
beyond
looked at
Chucky Road, there's one,
541, and there's 100 names. And then there's a corporation, I'm seeing.
Oh,
that.
541 Battle Street's the campground.
Oh, it is, okay, that's why. I
Oh,
was confused.
that-
I'm
oh,
gonna
okay,
say,
down there.
what? Yeah.
That's a lot of people down there.
Yeah.
Boy, I was in there because my daughter's boyfriend's mom has a camp there. I did not realize how huge that campground is.
and think how quiet it really is.
Mm.
I should be able to
Really is
hear
quiet.
everything, and, cause we're just up on
Yeah.
the hill, I mean, when you used to have music, which I didn't care, you could hear it up on the hill, but, yeah, it's amazing. I think there's always a lot of ruckus, oh dear, and it's really quiet.
I think Joe does a good job.
Yeah, we don't hear
Keeping it
anything.
well organized. and
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
anyways.
He's always done-
Kudos to them to have a nice campground in the town, and I think they were voted number 5, and really, we don't, I don't know about anybody else, but you hardly know they're there.
Yeah, well, because it's all hidden from the road. You don't
They
see
do a
it.
very good job. They
That's
always
right.
have.
I always think
Yeah.
the only bad part about the campground is dealing with the assessor again. And you know
Oh,
this is
yeah,
all
signing
about
off because somebody has a permanent home there, and yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they owe $52, and now they've moved, and, yeah.
Oh,
Because there's a law in New Hampshire where
Uh-huh.
that, it was passed because Marlo hinted at it. People were living at campgrounds year-round and
Year-round.
sending their kids to school, so they made a rule that if your camper is not registered, that you have to pay property tax on it.
Hmm.
Which means a whole pain in the butt for us,
Yeah.
because
It does.
people come here for the season, their camper's not registered while they're here, the assessors send them a tax bill, they move back to Florida or wherever they came from. Like, I ain't gonna pay this tax bill, they were going back to New Hampshire again, and they just never pay it, so it just sits there. Until we abate it at the end of the year, if it's underneath a certain amount, if it's not, then we'll go through with doing a process, but sometimes it's not worth it if it's like
Oh, it
$2.50. Cause it costs us more to
to
Yes.
enforce it then.
enforce it than it is worth the bill. I don't wanna say we don't enforce it, but it's like,
Yeah,
Sometimes
Yes.
the cost is just
We
not,
don't want to say we don't.
Yeah,
because we do on some people.
all right. Anything else for the good of the order? Anybody, do we officially make a motion to adjourn?
It's 7:06 if you'd like to do that.
Yes.
I move that we adjourn the meeting. Second?
A
7:06.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll go check my kid.
Timeless.
They're not too cute. Yeah.
This was a very, I'll tell Craig, that, oh, we went on for 2.5 hours, and
Yeah.
it was so long.
Where the
We
hell were
really
you?
could have used your help.